Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So today we're checking out the UGREEN DH4300 Plus NAS drive. UGREEN did send this out to me alongside two 4TB drives that I've connected to this NAS drive. The NAS drive does come with everything that you need to set it up, including an Ethernet cable that you can plug straight into your router, and that will get it connected up. And later in the video I'll show you how the apps actually look. So it does have its own smart apps. Now this NAS drive I've set up as my second or third NAS drive. The previous ones have all been Synology ones, so this is my first UGREEN NAS drive, and there are some differences between this and the Synology, primarily the price. So this one does start at a much lower level that's capable of up to 120 terabytes in total storage. So that's quite a lot of storage that you're getting for this sort of entry price. The second thing is the amount of things that you have natively installed. So from beginners all the way up to pros, you have something in there that is suitable for everybody. So I am using certain tasks with my NAS drive, my Synology NAS drive, such as Home Assistant and Docker, that I've got a particular NAS drive from them in order to make use of those. Now the good thing about this particular NAS drive is that it actually comes with both of those installed natively, or you can choose to install them natively. You do have to go into their app store and install them, but setup is really easy. Just a case of connecting the drives slot down rather than inwards, so that does make it a little bit easier to locate them. Sometimes the drives that go in sideways, they can be a little bit difficult in terms of locking in. This one, once it's located, it's not going to go anywhere, and the fans are pretty quiet on this. As a whole, this whole unit is pretty quiet. And it's been quite easy to set up both physically with installing the drives, and it does come with screws for two different types, so 3.5 as well as 2.5 inch drives, and then just installing them, pop the lid on, and then just connect 3 cables. And I did mention 3, so it does have a HDMI output on the back and a USB-C input on the front as well. But there are some additional ports on the back that do give you access to just install some pen drives, or if you did want to link an external drive just to transfer some of the files as well. So next we'll take a look at the apps and see what the software is like. Okay, so let's take a look at the iPhone app. So the iPad, I'm presuming, and also the Mac one, which I do have on my MacBook, look very similar. So all of the apps actually look very similar. The layout is similar on all. It will be a slightly different form factor, as you'll see if I include that a little later on, but generally this is what you're going to get. So you do have this sort of section at the top where you've got quick access to most things. So you've got your files, control panel, storage, etc. The key ones here is obviously your files is where you're going to do all your management, so this way you can move stuff around and everything. Anytime you click into any of these applications or folders or anything, the little dot with this circle in the top right is basically your home button. So some of these, so for example, if I go into downloads, as you can see, I do have the ability to swipe back, and you can also use the swipe gesture on iPhones and iPads as well. But if you press the little dot with the circle around it in the top right, that takes you back home. So no matter which application you're in on this app, that will take you back home. So the App Center, if you come into that, so these are all the various apps that you can install, and it does pretty much what most NAS drives will do. So you have functionality for a sort of home theater, and this is your sort of media and entertainment, as they put it. So it's your movies, your TV shows, any content that you have. This will automatically pull all the artwork and label everything and categorize it all for you. The other key things that most people will use is some sort of a download client. You do also have a BitTorrent client, but you don't actually need that in order to download torrents. You can actually just use the normal download application and you can do the same thing. Other than that, a couple of things that are nice is it does have Docker built in, and it also has Home Assistant built in as well. So those of you who run a smart home or wish to run a smart home, you can do that using Home Assistant, and the fact that these are native apps that you can download makes it a lot easier. Some of these apps, as it says on the Firefox ones, are limited to the desktop versions only. Most of these will be accessible, and most of the things that you're going to need to do will work straight off the bat. Coming back, so the other key thing is obviously backup, so photos, videos, that kind of thing. So any of your own content that you have will come into this, and it'll automatically get categorized. So within this application, you do have the options of setting up automatic uploads and basically creating albums, sharing it, and it also categorizes everything. And I've only done this for one particular day just to test the upload, and everything worked perfectly fine. So it's the same as uploads on any other sort of NAS drive or online drive, if you like, similar to like Google Photos and the Synology version as well, where you just open up the application, you choose which directory you want stuff saved to, and it will then just upload it. So you can choose to have this done automatically in the background, or you can choose to have it where you open the app and then you can upload them manually. Other things of note is you do get this section down at the bottom. So all of this top section with the applications, that will remain as it is. If you come right down to the bottom and click on homepage management, this is where you can add and remove or rearrange stuff depending on what you actually make use of. So for me personally, I don't want the photos, I don't use music, so I don't want them on, but the other things I do make use of. And as you can see, you can change the layout of these. It does look slightly different on the Mac because obviously it's a wider screen. So on this one it is stacked top to bottom, whereas on those ones it will display side to side as well. But it just gives you a quick glance in terms of all of the important information. So you can see all of the available space that you've got on the various drives. You can check on the actual hardware, so CPU, GPU, temperatures, all that kind of stuff. And then further down is where I've enabled the theater. So this is just a quick shortcut into the theater app, and this is the app on the actual phone. So I only have 3 things that I've added to this particular library. So I have movies and TV shows, and you can pull these from the same directory, I believe. But me personally, whenever I set up a NAS drive, I always have movies and TV shows separately, so when I'm searching for something I can access it easier for me. But in terms of these applications, they just pull everything together. If you do click into these, it does give you the full movie card with all the information and give the option to start playback, to add to favorites, and to mark it as watched as well. If you did have more content, then obviously these other sections is where you would be able to separate various different things, and then you do have these settings where you can make a few changes to that as well. All of this is very intuitive, it's very easy to set up and use, so it's not something that you really need to spend too long taking a look at. The other thing that this particular NAS drive does do is it does give you direct access as well. So you can actually connect your NAS drive directly to a HDMI device, so TV, projector, whatever. And once you actually come into it and you hit play, you can actually play that directly on the big screen rather than going through a additional device. So you don't need an additional device in order to play any of your content. You can literally connect your NAS drive directly to your TV or projector and play that content back in the best quality. And these are all the apps that I've got installed, as you can see just there. So yeah, very simple, very easy to use. Okay, so taking a look at the MacBook app, so very similar layout as you can see. So all of your apps are in this top section just here. Your homepage management, as you can see, is laid out slightly differently. So because obviously we have a wider screen, it does actually put it side by side. And obviously if you did have any additional things, then you can add them via this little option here. So if you added photos and music, they would appear at the bottom, and then you can rearrange those as well. Everything else is pretty much the same. So obviously this is still accessing the sections and everything. And this particular app doesn't count as the desktop version despite being on the desktop. This is still the app version. So for example, if you come down to Firefox, as you can see, only available on computers. So that's only when you're accessing it via the website. Now you do have access to all of that in terms of setting you up and everything via these options here. So if you go into device connection, you can change those, you can check your network connections, everything like that. And as you can see, this is the little icon that I was referring to. So the little dot with the circle around it, that takes you home no matter what you're in. Now the theater app on this is similar, but it looks a little bit better. But on the desktop version, you'll see that this actually looks a lot better, and it looks more towards what you would get on the TV if you load this directly on the TV. If we take a look at the Apple TV app a little later on, then you'll see that they actually look very similar. So very similar layout, everything accessed in similar way. So you click into them, you press that button to go back home, and you've got access to everything that you've got on the mobile version. Okay, now taking a look at the desktop app. So I have set it to just log straight in. So the way you access this is by putting in the local IP address for your NAS drive. That will show up in the app whenever you're using it. And you can, when the first time you log in, it actually gives you an option to sort of automatically locate it as well. So the difference with this is more laid out in terms of a desktop. So you don't have those sections of apps anymore. So the app center, everything, this is more windowed. So you have to actually click into everything. You can quickly access your apps that you don't have on the home screen via that option in the top left just there. And you do have a few other things. So you do have some widgets up here, as well as these widgets that pull out from the right hand side. So this is similar to what you would have on your home screen in the actual app version or the mobile versions. Now, as mentioned, you're getting all the same sort of information here, all the same apps. Now, a couple of things that look slightly different. So photos is more similar to what you would get on a desktop. So it's more of the layout in terms of what you would be used to seeing on just a desktop computer. And the big one that is very different is the theater app. So as you can see, this one looks a lot more polished. So this is more similar to what you see on the Apple TV with album artwork and everything in the background and these sort of floating menus on the left hand side. So you can quickly access various sections here, and obviously if you did have more content, then you can separate them out and it'll automatically categorize stuff for you as well. For me, this just looks a little bit more polished and I just like the look of this. Everything does play back perfectly fine. I have tested that. I'm not going to do it in this video because I'll probably end up getting a copyright strike. But yeah, everything works perfectly fine. It does also give you an option where if you wanted to and you were streaming this, that you can actually reduce the quality. So for example, on both of these, it does say 4K. Once you click into it, if your connection isn't fast enough, it does give you the option to actually drop the quality down a level in order to speed up the connection. But for most people, it's going to be perfectly fine. If you have a half decent Wi-Fi network, then you should be able to play all of these back perfectly fine. So yeah, that one is a little bit different. Now, one thing to note, a few of these apps will open up in a separate window. So for example, Docker is a application that's running on the NAS drive, so you can change all the containers, the projects, all that kind of stuff on it, but Home Assistant will load up separately. Okay, so here we are on the Apple TV, and usually what happens with NAS drives is you need an external app such as either Infuse, Plex, something similar to that in order to play back the content that you have on your NAS drive. So they don't have a native app for the actual NAS drive themselves. So that's where the UGREENNAS does differ slightly, where you can see it does have its own app. And once you come into it, you can see that you do have access to content. So you can come into theater. So that was basically just like a welcome screen. So if at any point you want to go back to that, so if you hit back twice, this is what you're welcomed into. Now you can change it so then you can go straight into the theater. So as you can see, that's the desktop mode, and you can choose to have it go straight into theater. For most people, that's going to be what they actually choose to do, because it does have access to other folders and other things that you don't necessarily want in theater. So for example, your own photos, your own videos. If you don't want them in the actual theater view, then you can actually choose to come into here primarily, but then you can also easily come into here, choose theater, and then that will automatically come into their movie player, which is obviously what they call in theater. So as you can see, here's the two test files that I downloaded, or well, actually three. So as you can see, these two are movies and this one is a TV show. So I wanted to just show you the difference in how they're laid out and what you actually get in terms of the user experience. So if we come into Fantastic Four, here you can see you have all the album artwork. You have options to obviously play. It gives you some details in terms of what it is that you're actually viewing. And then obviously you can play, pause, restart, mark as watched, and favorites from there, similar to most third-party apps that you get. Now, the difference with the TV series is you also have episode control down at the bottom here as well, and similar thing, you can see what episode it is on and obviously mark as watched, favorite, all the rest of it. And it does give you the cast and crew at the bottom as well, and I'm not sure if it gives you the path. No, it doesn't. But yeah, decent artwork for everything that you're basically getting. And you do also have the options of the separated. So obviously these are now playing, so they're things that I've clicked on recently, but if you come down to the bottom, it will separate them out. and I believe if you swipe left, yeah, so if you go into categories, you can separate out all of your movies, all your TV series, and anything else that you might have in there as well. In terms of library, that should just show everything. So yeah, it breaks down exactly what you've got there. And then if you go back home, it'll take you back to the main splash screen. So yeah, this is something that's obviously different. The fact that it does have its native app, so you don't need any third-party apps to actually play back your content. You can just do it with their built-in app. Okay, so as a summary, I think this is a very easy NAS drive to set up. It gives you all the functionality that you'd expect from a NAS drive, in the sense that it gives you backup, it gives you a place to store all your important memories, and it also gives you a media library for those who wish to do that. It makes everything very simple, and it has apps installed natively through its app store that on other NAS drives you would have to jump through a few hoops in order to install. Overall, I think this is a very good NAS drive considering the price point for any beginner, and then it still has the power and capabilities to fulfill the needs of a pro as well. So from my perspective, I think this is a pretty good purchase, and anybody out there interested, as usual, all links will be in the description. UGREEN, I believe, are running an offer in October, so I will have some discount codes as well as some links in the description for various different places for you to purchase from. I may do some future videos comparing this to my Synology, so if you are interested in any particular tasks, then let me know in the comment section below. As always, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos, and I'd really appreciate if you can also give this video a thumbs up as well. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.